Book Review: The Artist of Blackberry Grange by Paulette Kennedy. In The Artist of Blackberry Grange, Paulette Kennedy returns with a novel of lyrical depth, quiet yearning, and poignant transformation. Set against the pastoral backdrop of early 20th century rural England, Kennedy masterfully captures the tension between tradition and change, isolation and self-discovery, through the eyes of a woman both haunted by the past and drawn to the possibilities of a different future. At its heart, this is a novel about art in the literal sense, but also the art of becoming, of observing, of loving. Kennedy paints her characters and settings with the same layered brushstrokes that her protagonist uses in her watercolors, creating a rich tapestry that lingers long after the final page. Setting and atmosphere: a living canvas, Blackberry Grange is more than just a location, it is a character in its own right. Situated in the fictional county of Shropshire, the Grange is imbued with a kind of Gothic pastoralism. It is both idyllic and stifling, a landscape that shelters as much as it imprisons. Kennedy's descriptions of the natural world are lush and sensory, often mirroring the emotional states of the characters. From the brambles that guard the garden's periphery to the shifting hues of the sky over the moors, nature in this novel is never merely background. It breathes and evolves, echoing the protagonist's own internal metamorphosis. Kennedy's language here is especially evocative. She employs synesthetic imagery and careful pacing to build mood. A simple walk through the orchard becomes a study in sensory perception, each fallen apple, a metaphor for something lost or decaying. Readers familiar with Kennedy's earlier work, The Witch of Tin Mountain and Parting the Veil, will recognize her signature ability to blend setting with psychological insight. In The Artist of Blackberry Grange, she elevates this technique to a new level. Character development: a portrait of a woman awakening, the novel centers on Constance Halstead, a widowed illustrator of natural history books who returns to Blackberry Grange, her late husband's ancestral home, to recover from grief and to rediscover herself. Constance is drawn with restraint and depth. She is neither a tragic heroine nor an anachronistic rebel, rather, she is a woman of her time negotiating the limitations imposed upon her. What is remarkable about Kennedy's characterization is how she avoids clichés. Constance is not instantly liberated by solitude or the countryside. Her journey is incremental, filled with doubt, missteps, and moments of genuine self-reflection. Her relationship with art becomes a kind of therapy, a way to process grief, assert agency, and finally, to imagine a life that is hers alone. Supporting characters are equally well rendered, particularly Mr. Edwin Thorne, the enigmatic botanist who becomes both muse and mirror to Constance. Thorne is not simply a romantic interest, he is a fully realized figure with his own arc of loss and rediscovery. The chemistry between Constance and Edwin is slow-burning and intellectual, unfolding through shared silences, mutual observation, and a shared reverence for the natural world. Other notable characters include Maud, the housekeeper with hidden dimensions, and Iris, a neighboring suffragette who challenges Constance's notions of femininity, duty, and freedom. Iris's spirited dialogues bring a necessary jolt of energy to the novel, pushing Constance toward introspection without becoming didactic. Historical accuracy and period detail. Set during the Edwardian era, just before the First World War, the novel is steeped in historical detail without ever feeling weighed down by it. Kennedy clearly did her homework, incorporating elements such as the rise of the suffragist movement, tensions around land inheritance, the use of early photography and botanical illustration, and the gendered expectations of the period. What is particularly effective is how Kennedy threads these elements through the personal. For instance, Constance's struggle to maintain ownership over her artwork is not just a plot point but a historically rooted commentary on women's lack of legal and financial independence during the era. Similarly, Thorne's botanical pursuits, often dismissed by his peers, reflect a broader intellectual shift in scientific inquiry, away from imperial categorization and toward ecological understanding. Clothing, food, social customs, and even language are rendered with authenticity. Kennedy avoids the trap of over-explaining. She trusts her reader to pick up on subtle cues, whether it's the weight of a mourning veil or the implied scandal of a woman walking alone in the village. Themes: loss, memory, and artistic rebirth. Loss is the novel's most consistent theme, not just in the form of death but also in the quieter griefs. Lost youth, faded dreams, and unrealized selves. Through Constance, Kennedy explores the ways in which we carry our losses, how we accommodate them in the architecture of our daily lives, and how art can become both a sanctuary and a revelation. Memory, too, plays a crucial role. Flashbacks are interspersed sparingly but effectively, providing glimpses into Constance's previous life, her marriage, and the emotional toll of being an artist in someone else's shadow. These moments are never intrusive, they arise organically, as memories often do, triggered by scent, sound, or the play of light on an object. One of the most compelling aspects of the novel is its meditation on the artistic process itself. Kennedy does not romanticize creativity, instead, she shows it as laborious, often frustrating, and deeply personal. Constance's sketchbook becomes a confessional as much as a creative outlet, and her decision to pursue a controversial new series of paintings, depicting women as elemental forces, marks a pivotal point in the narrative. The novel also touches on the tension between solitude and connection. While Constance initially seeks isolation, she gradually comes to understand that true artistic expression and true healing require vulnerability and, ultimately, relationship. Literary style: lyrical yet grounded, Paulette Kennedy's prose is lush without being overwrought. She strikes a delicate balance between lyricism and clarity, allowing the reader to sink into the story without losing narrative momentum. Her use of metaphor is especially striking. Objects often carry symbolic weight: a broken teacup, a silver locket, a water-stained canvas, but are never so pointed as to feel contrived. Dialogue, too, is natural and period-appropriate. Kennedy has a keen ear for rhythm and tone, and conversations reveal as much in their silences as in their words. Inner monologue is employed with restraint, used only when necessary to deepen character or clarify motivation. Structure-wise, the novel unfolds linearly but with a few well-placed shifts in time. These shifts add emotional layering without disrupting the flow. Pacing is deliberate but never dull. Even quieter moments are imbued with tension and anticipation. Feminist undercurrents, quiet resistance. While the novel doesn't wear its feminism on its sleeve, it pulses through every chapter. Kennedy is interested in the ways women resist within constraint, not through loud rebellion, but through the quieter, enduring acts of self-assertion. Constance's refusal to remarry, her insistence on keeping her name on her work, her reclamation of her body and her desires, all of these become acts of defiance in a world that seeks to define her by loss and duty. The friendship between Constance and Iris offers a subtle exploration of female solidarity across class lines. Iris is more radical in her politics, but she respects Constance's more introspective path. Their bond becomes one of the emotional anchors of the novel, showing that there are many ways to be brave, and many ways to be a woman. Final thoughts: The Artist of Blackberry Grange is a quietly powerful novel that rewards the patient reader. It's not a story of grand drama or sweeping romance, though it contains both in measured doses, but rather a deeply felt exploration of one woman's journey back to herself. With exquisite prose, finely wrought characters, and a painterly sense of place, Paulette Kennedy has crafted a story that feels both timeless and urgent. This is a book for lovers of introspective historical fiction, for readers who find beauty in detail and transformation in quiet moments. It's for anyone who has ever stood at a crossroads, haunted by what was, unsure of what will be, and chosen, however uncertainly, to move forward. In Constance Halstead, Kennedy gives us a heroine who is not fearless, but who dares nonetheless. And in doing so, she gives us a story that is not only beautifully told but profoundly felt.